Now, I guess I had mentioned, I guess, before this that the topics end up being the same. But look, it's the elephant in the room. We have to discuss, COVID-19. We got to discuss this pandemic and the reason why we're all doing this interview via Zoom or have been doing podcasts or things like of this nature. So, but I want to talk about, I guess, what your opinions are, or if you can share anything in regards to what the cities and states. So do you think these proposals that are coming from the state, or maybe do you think the planning department or the planning director for even LA, are they leaning more toward being open to these new proposals post-pandemic, right? Meaning, do you think now the climate has changed politically to be more open to that? Or do you think that has no relevance? This was always a kind of push and pull argument, right? For and against, and it's just a proposal for versus against. What do you guys think?
To start, yeah, I think those that are in City Hall who are kind of very like, I don't know, I hate this term, but like anti-development or right? Because I think there's different variations of it, but I think those who kind of have that mindset, I think irrespective of COVID, I think they still kind of, I don't think they think that. I don't think much is loosened up, I would say, right? I think most still recognize, because the city, keep in mind, they're the ones that issued the building permits, right? And I'm sure when they see that real estate is still all well and this and that, that concern I don't think is really, and we do have a housing shortage here right now, and whether or not, and most recently, I think we're going to end up having a larger problem here with the rent moratoriums that have been going on, and so I think whether or not more efforts will be kind of shifted more towards how to alleviate kind of what's going on over there with the moratoriums, and kind of shift more against like, okay, well, maybe we should allow for housing, could potentially be I guess a mindset that can kind of grow, stand over time. But I think for now we're still in the very beginning stages of this. You still see a lot of development, you still see a lot of building permits being issued. I don't think, like I said, I don't think there's much sympathy yet from I guess those who initially were kind of a little NIMBY or anti-development to begin with.
Yeah.
I don't know, Mia, what do you think?
No, I agree, and I think especially with like COVID being so like obviously prominent right now, and like from what we've heard from other podcast guests, it doesn't really seem like there's been a major slowdown. Like Lori has said, she just sold her, like had her deal go through, and it seems like there was initially a little slowdown, but it seems like everything is sort of in terms of like development world picked back up.
Absolutely. It seems this is weird. I think the pandemic, what I will give credit for, I don't want to be political in this conversation, but what I will give credit to the government, federal government, in doing is they acted quickly in providing a bridge, right? And so I think, the Fed has pumped in about 2, 3, 4, I don't know what the numbers are, but trillions, right, into the market. So now the stock market are still at all-time highs, not representing Main Street, the small businesses, the bankruptcies, all of that stuff that's going on is not having any effect because the Fed decided, look, we can't have the market fall off the cliff because it's not in anyone's control. It's a pandemic, right, for a reason. So they've done a good job on that front. The rent moratorium, I think the CDC guys announced, I read this morning, a rent moratorium right now. And you're like, well, why does the CDC have anything to do with it? Well, the way they explain it is they say it's actually a health crisis if you have, people being evicted, right? And they go to homeless shelters or they're out in public and they start spreading coronavirus, right? And so they've tied the kind of that to a health crisis, which, look, I think for whatever you'll say is still a blanket or a bridge, right? And so now we have that covering. So if we're going to already provide stimulus or the Fed pumping in money or, preventing, evictions and all these people out there having extreme hardships, it delays the effect, right? So I think the brokers are residential, commercial. They're doing a lot of transactions. There's been a lot of pent-up demand, but I think it's due to the safety net that the government's provided, if that makes sense, right? We'll have to see if this prolongs what happens next year, because if without a safety net, if you let the true market be as it is, then you're going to see a lot of pain. Then you're going to see a lot of more foreclosures and spiraling. But from what I could see, I don't know. I think they're just going to keep spending, continuing the bridge, which I think is the right way to go. I think you can't blame market participants for a global pandemic, if that makes sense, right? So that's just some extreme kind of situation that no one can control. So you have to bridge everyone through that, and then we'll have to deal with surplus debt afterwards.